Here it is. Here it is, guys. So in the last video about this is a response, by the way, from Mod Pips, the Jagex CEO. But in the last video talking about this yesterday, I actually said I can't wait to hear the we're sorry, we're learning, we've heard your feedback, we made a mistake, we are learning, we want to learn in the future, and blah blah blah. This is that, right? This happens every time, especially lately, and I'll talk about this more soon, but every time that Jagex mess up big, and then the community, you guys, actually go, absolutely not. Like the response to this survey yesterday, or the day before, whenever it came out properly, but the response since has all been the same. Everybody is just gone, no. And the amount of people who have cancelled subscriptions and all that sort of stuff, you guys have made this happen more so as well. Actually cancelling your subscription and showing them that what do you mean is actually the reason that we get stuff like this. So let's see what Mod Pips has got to say here. Speaking of, by the way, this only really comes out every now and again whenever like there's such a big thing that players really get frustrated over and make such a big fuss about. It happened with Hero Pass, and I believe it's happened with the Fresh Start World as well, and they made changes about that. But players are now starting to realize, because the more this happens, players are now starting to realize that we do have some sort of power, I guess, to say to them, no, don't do this, not happening. And if you do, then it's going to be bad. So good. I'm glad that you guys were sort of all together in this. Anyway, let's read this. The conjoint membership survey has caused the community frustration, anger, and concern. We made major mistakes with this, and are truly sorry. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And are truly sorry. We have heard your feedback loud and clear. Bro, I don't believe it. Like, I don't know about you guys, but at this point, I just don't believe it anymore. Like, we are truly sorry. You know full well what's going to happen with this. What happened with Fresh Start Worlds? What happened with the last one, Hero Pass? Like, this is, what the frick do you mean? Anyway, the way we approached this survey was clumsy and inconsiderate, to say the least. This is what I said. I was like, the delivery of it and the way that you've handled it was so, like, poor. Clumsy is a great word for it, and inconsiderate is absolutely a good word for it. In fact, I even might have said this in my last video, and I said, like, that you just aren't, there's just no respect to players in that at all. Zero. You just don't respect the players in the slightest. It says, we failed to think this through from your perspective as players, which happens every single time. We got caught up in research mode and rushing a project with a research partner. So it's hard to even say anymore that, oh, this isn't the people in Jagex, this is the big higher up companies, because it's not. Like, it happens so often that you think at this point they would just get it in their head and say, no, we're not doing that because the players will be absolutely fuming. This is the people who are managing this Jagex side of it. It is not the specific game devs, obviously, but the people who manage all this sort of stuff in Jagex. This is where this is coming from. What was intended as a rigorous methodology for exploring an unfiltered range of ideas, you saw as alarming possibilities that appeared to threaten the integrity of the game you love. Well, whatever's left of it, for sure. Old school RuneScape will be again the same copy paste, by the way, I'm assuming. For that, it kind of stands. It contained ideas for consideration that in a cold light of day just shouldn't have been in there, for sure, like ads for a subscription-based game. We should have paused to consider this properly and avoided the unnecessary worry and anger this has caused. Absolutely true, all of it. Why the survey was conducted. This was an exploratory survey intended to test a broad range of features and options around subscriptions, including those from other games, to measure how they ranked and compared. Find me one game, this is a challenge because I could be wrong, find me one game that has a subscription-based model, also in-game advertisements of things like Raid, Shadow Legends, or whatever the frick they were planning on doing. Like, find me one game that you pay a subscription monthly and then they also have ads in game, because there's nothing from other games there. that I can think of, unless it's like some random mobile game. The randomness of survey system presented features, combinations, and prices that understandably alarmed many of you. Absolutely. It was a major misjudgment to include features that suggested we would consider degrading the game experience or impacting gameplay. Even the mere suggestion of ideas like in-game ads, shorter AFK timers, or making improved player support an additional cost undermined your trust in us. There is no trust anymore. Jagex need to realize this. There is zero trust between players and Jagex anymore. Absolutely zero. What there is, though, is expectations that they will screw up. And then you can see it all over Reddit, all over comments, expectations that once they screw up, we'll all kick off, and then we'll get this exact line here every time. We called it. Many people called it. That's the expectations. There is zero trust, absolutely zero, because people know. And in 6 months, we'll be in the exact same place again. It's just how it is. So anyway, it's undermined your trust in us. Absolutely, because, you know, you want to pay for player support. If you can't afford an expensive subscription model, sorry, your account got hacked, but you're only paying the cheap subscription, bro. Like, what do you want me to do about it? It's absolutely crazy. While the goal was to gather data about speculative options, we should have realized these topics would feel like a betrayal of your trust and the guiding principles that make our games special. Okay, what we've learned. Oh my god, I hate this, man. Like, this game is so old. When did RuneScape come out? It is so old. When are you gonna actually learn? This process has reaffirmed just how much you care about our games and what you do or do not want to see in the future. Your clear feedback has reinforced our commitment to the values that drive our games and guide the decisions we make. Beyond testing very early concepts of various kinds, no firm plans are in place, and not a single line of code has been written for any of them. The survey has been halted. Of course, this code hasn't been done. You're not going to write the code just yet. I didn't expect that the code was done, but what I was saying in my video was that this stuff wasn't just purely plans, because you've taken the time to really think about it, and these were the options that you were actually suggesting. They may have just been like initial thoughts and like put on like a board in an office room somewhere, and then you're going, well, right, what can we actually sell to the players? And then you probably realize that, oh, you know what, short of adding good content to the game and short of actually giving them good things that they may want to pay extra for, there's not actually that much we can do, because like looking at shortening AFK timers to be able to make another tier of like membership, we already have that. So you're basically taking that away to then sell it back. Selling us player support is something that you already should have been doing. You took that, you're basically saying, oh, well, we don't have that, but we can actually sell it to you. And like, what was the other thing? Like, freaking multiple characters on the same account. We already have that as well. Technically, we have to pay separate memberships, but it's on the same Jagex account. Like, look here, right? I'll edit this if I can. Characters. I have multiple characters on the same account. Yes, they're not in the same subscription, but they're all in the same place. And if I want to pay for a membership on all of those, it was actually cheaper to do that than what you were showing in the things. You were saying, oh, for an extra character, it'd be $13, but $13 a month. What the frick? It's like £8, £9. That's not even $13. So what's the difference there? You were just basically taking away what was already available, removing that and saying, no, you don't have that anymore. But if you want it back, you got to pay for it. So, I mean, what the frick? The plans were definitely there. They weren't firm and they weren't coded, but those were the things you're thinking of. But we realized that there wasn't that much you could sell, and then go, what can we take away and do then? Make a good game, sell a good game. That's all you need to do. Ads and membership. This was originally to be tested in the context of a lower cost ad supported membership. We will not include in-game advertisements in any regular paid membership. And while we may explore ads in free to play as a concept in the future, there are no plans for this currently, and we will tread carefully. Right. I said this as well, again, for those of you that listen to the whole thing. The only way this will work is if the free to play players get something for having the ads there. You can't, again, you're just going to say, okay, well, free to play players, you're now going to get ads. But like, can they access members now? Can they make the game free to play? I think that at this point, especially RuneScape 3, old school RuneScape, maybe not, because it's so damn popular. Make the game free to play and then add ads. and then do something to deal with bots, because that's the only issue with making free to play and members. Because if you get access to the entire game as a free to play player, bots will run rampant as hell. But you kind of need to figure that one out. If you want to use ads, you can't just now drop that on the free to play players. That's where everybody tries the game first, because you have a free option. All the new players to the game will try free to play first, and if they're seeing ads in the game, they're going to go, what on earth is this crap? They are. You struggle keeping players in RuneScape 3 in free to play right now. It's insane. And ads would be so out of place in old school RuneScape and free to play, the community would not be impressed in the slightest, and I do not blame them. So I don't see how this works even in free to play unless they're going to get some benefits for those ads as well that aren't treasure hunter keys, of course. But it's good to see that they're not going to include ads in regular paid memberships. That was obviously because everyone kicked off. And what's this? This was to lower cost. Well, unless it's going to be free and you play with memberships, I don't know how much lower you want to go. AFK timers. Similarly, this was originally included in the context of a lower cost membership option, but we will not be reducing AFK timers for any paid membership. So what they were saying is this was included in low cost membership option, being that if you pay the cheaper version, then you'll have a lower AFK timer. This was just making the game worse for those players to then try and push you to the higher tier one, which again is taking stuff away and saying, oh, you're too poor to be able to afford to like stay AFK for as long. Now I know you could do that in the past, and you used to have the 15-minute timer. I get that, I get it. But now that we want more money from you, you can't afford it. Tough. Now you got 5 minutes again. Like what are they thinking? If they can't genuinely think of things to improve to make the tiers worth it, then don't offer anything else, which we're going to talk about again in a second. Player support, which doesn't really need too much explaining, but they say you want improved player support and this should not require any additional charges. We agree. No, you don't. You might agree now, but you did not agree yesterday. You've given us deep feedback on this, including in the recent player support survey. Right, I'll say this right now. If nothing else comes out of this, nothing else, but we get player support for the game, this was all worth it. Because right now the player support is 0. But if we actually end up with player support somehow because of this, because this is actually like kind of brought it into the main picture that what the frick are you playing at? And they've said now that they can do it because they were going to charge us for it. Then it needs to happen. Go away. So hopefully that does happen. We understand the frustration players have with existing support systems. Yeah, because it doesn't. What the frick? Go away. And whilst we understand any doubt you might have, we already making positive progress on this front. You need to explain what you've been doing. We want to make sure our baseline support offering meets your expectations, regardless of the content and feedback from the recent survey. We hope to be able to talk more about this soon. I hope so. I would like to see that for sure. But to say that you agree here is just lies. And for the people that are going to be like, yeah, Jagex listening. Jagex have this thing of making something really, really bad and explaining something really, really bad. And then when they finally go back and fix that problem, it's like people just lap it up and go, oh, Jagex, amazing. Thank you for listening. Woo! It shouldn't have happened for the 50th time. If this was the 2nd time, 3rd time, sure. This has happened so many times now. It's like, it'll happen again in 6 months. I'm telling you now. General principles. We will never degrade or fundamentally change the gameplay experience on offer between subscribers. Basically, this is what I was going to talk about, right? We'll move into this in a second. What they need to do, if they want to make tiered membership subscriptions, fine. But they need to start where we are now and then basically go from... Before someone invites me, we need to go where we are now and then make that better and offer something better. So right now, say in the UK, we pay like £9 a month or something. Say you're paying £9 a month, let's say $10. You're paying $10 US a month. That's easier. $10 US a month for the base membership monthly subscription. And then they need to go, right, what can we offer someone to make them pay $14.99 a month instead of 10? And then go, oh, well, you know what? Actually, what we could do is we could offer them access to the community worlds that we were talking about. Let's do that. So if you pay £15 a month, then you can have access to community worlds. Doesn't affect anything in the game. It's purely just community worlds. Cool, that's fine. People don't have to do it. They can if they want to. The option is there. What about £20 a month? Well, if you want to do £20 a month, then maybe we can offer X, Y, and Z. And I don't have a clue. It cannot be content. It can't be content in the sense of, oh, there'll be these bosses that you can get on the subscription, but you can't get it otherwise. But things like the community world is a really good idea. Maybe you can say, I don't know. I'm sure people can think of some good ideas, right? Or another thing, if Jagex really want to make some actual profit in the game, do events and sell freaking participating tickets via bonds. I don't know how like hard it is to understand that if you put on a like a dead man mode but for RuneScape 3, or do another event like dead man mode for old school RuneScape, and just say you have to pay for a bond to be able to take part in it. Just one bond, you can take part in the whole event. It's like a ticket to be able to join it. They'll make a fortune every single time they do it. But instead they have to absolutely crap all over their player base to be able to like go, oh, ads in your game that you've already paid for. Just, hey, look, guys, we're doing an event. You can either watch it from other people doing it, like content creators, or you can take part and it'll cost you a bond. You can pay with GP, or you can pay with bond. You can buy it with real money, whatever you want to do. I don't get like who's doing their like funding stuff or like making money thing, but it's insane how like easily they piss off players. Anyway, this is gonna be another 30-minute video. It's not. What's next? Moving forward, we will take more time to reflect on how we explore topics like this. The whole situation is a powerful reminder, again, of what is most important about RuneScape. Are you going to tell us what it is? That it's the players? It's given us valuable insights, not just about subscriptions, but also into the concerns that arise when these topics aren't handled with sufficient care. Any future proposals will be crafted with far greater consideration to ensure they align with the feedback we've received and the values that define our community. Basically, I said in the video again yesterday that the way that they always announce stuff or deliver stuff to players is insanely poor. Like, they hyped up Hero Pass as being this next massive big content addition to the game, and then they dropped MTX stuff on us, right? Like, why would you do that? The same happened with this. Like, oh, we're going to make it cheaper for you to do play membership and blah 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 blah, and they make it out like they're doing us a favor, and then actually they're just trying to get in your wallets and take more money out. Anything that considers money and players having to pay more money or get an unfair advantage over other players, which RuneScape 3 doesn't really matter of that anymore, is going to be an issue for the community, and you need to really think through what you're going to be doing. And if it's a dick move, don't do it. Basically is how you should go about it. Above all, we remain committed to protecting the core principles of our games. This survey was intended as a way to gather feedback, but we recognize that it caused concern and undermines your trust. I want to assure you that we care deeply about our games and the passionate community that makes them thrive. We are determined to learn from this and ensure that RuneScape remains the game you know and love. You've already lost so many subs. I actually reckon there's plenty of players that have unsubbed and won't return for a hell of a long time on this, or if at all. There's so many players, and there's so many other games that where every time you do this, you might as well take a chunk out of the game. You remember when they took away the wilderness and took away free trade? And then they lost like a big chunk of players and they had to like bring it back. RuneScape never reached the peak that it did back then. I think actually old school now has passed that, or at least got close to it again, or met it, whatever. It's basically managed it somehow. But old school's insane in the way that they actually stick to their thing until now, which, by the way, old school players, this is a bad sign for you because it means that they're looking at monetizing old school better as well. But every time you do stuff like this, you're basically kicking your game and taking away a chunk of the players that will not return, or they won't return for a hell of a long time, by which time you probably pissed off more players that won't return either. So you need to be careful, man. This game's not got that many players left on RuneScape 3 especially. A final note, from the start, we aim to consult you on what you value most. While this has undoubtedly been a challenging few days for everybody, the process has achieved its core purpose to gather honest, unfiltered feedback. Guys, we achieved what we wanted to do. Did you really need to know that players didn't want ads in the game? Did anyone think this was like ever going to be? Oh, actually, 80% of players want ads in the game. Put them in tomorrow. No problem. This kind of transparency and collaboration is at the heart of what makes our game so special. RuneScape is a game shared by its community. Your voice remains central to every decision we make. While we recognize that mistakes were made here, the fact that we receive such strong and clear feedback reinforces how deeply you care about this game. Yeah, but you don't care about that, and you keep saying it. You said it about 6 times. How many times are you going to say this to like try and make people go, yeah, I do really care about the game? A lot of people are starting to not care about the game, and you are genuinely just saying all this over and over and over again like I said, there's zero trust. There's zero trust between the players and Jagex anymore. RuneScape thrives because of its community, and we remain fully committed in our mission to deepen how we work with players at every level. Thank you for your passion and your feedback that drives us to do better every day. So, yeah, Jagex have learned, guys. They learned again. We're sorry. We made a mistake. This won't happen going forward. We are truly sorry. In fact, we've heard your feedback loud and clear. I don't know, man. There's only so many times you can say this, and in the past, there's been I've read this stuff and I've gone, you know what, good, and they've apologized. They've outright said this is good. I think this time they're full of crap, and I think again in 6 months the exact same thing will happen again. And yesterday I told people that if you are done with the game, you're sick of it, unsub, come back in 6 months, see how the game is. And I think for anyone who's not like set on staying in the game, like I'm gonna keep making content because it pays some of my income. Like why the hell not? And also I've only just I'm actually fuming. I'm actually livid, right? Because I took like probably about a 6 month break at this point. If you go back and check my content, like really not done anything in 6 months. Stopped streaming for about 6 months too, probably. And I've just started getting back into it. And 3 days ago, I was like, I'm gonna start a new series. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be great, and I can't wait. And then they did this, man. I was literally working on like other unique videos and everything, and I'm still gonna do them because I do this for you guys, not for Jagex. So you know what I mean? I enjoy the game enough. I'm gonna keep playing. If you're done with the game and you feel like you're kind of like getting frustrated and stressed out about it, maybe take a little break and come back. Don't quit, because you know we need you guys. Don't leave, especially RuneScape 3 players. Don't leave. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm not going to drag us to 30 minutes again. This is the response from Mod Pips. What do you guys think? Catch you later, guys.